What to do if you're pregnant and your guy doesn't want to have sex with you anymore? I was invited to speak to this question by a lovely website called bellybelly.com.au. Thank you, lovely people, for inviting me to share some delusional opinions on this question. What to do? I'm pregnant. My guy doesn't want to have sex with me anymore. This isn't an issue I'm dealing with in my life right now. I'm not pregnant. Fingers crossed. I haven't taken a pregnancy test lately, but I don't think I am pregnant. So nonetheless, also, you're probably going to hear some bird sounds, some weird insects and other critters roaming around. I'm in Byron Bay, Australia, so please forgive the noise. You might even hear some traffic noise. I apologize. I wish it was louder. So, on with the show. There's no question about it. When you're pregnant, your guy withdraws sexually. He doesn't seem interested. What I'm going to invite you to consider is there's probably something going on much more psychologically, a much deeper story under the story than the potentially superficial, physically oriented story that says, he's not interested in me because I'm getting bigger and he's just not attracted to me. Maybe, I mean, it's possible, it's a small portion, but I dare say our sex drive, the sex drive of this interesting species called men, our sex drive is far more governed by our psychology. What's going on in our psyche, our emotions, our mind, especially our unconscious. I think that's far more of a driving factor that can cause sexual interest withdraw from you, the lovely lady. So here's what I'm going to ask you to consider. When you're pregnant, what changes in your relationship with your guy? I think we're normally used to considering like, okay, we're adding something to our relationship and I'm gaining a relationship with a baby inside of me, soon to be baby born. But what does change between you and your guy? I would dare say when you're having a child, whether it's your first child or third child, your relationship with your guy is moving into a different phase. So what's changing about that? Sorry if my camera's wiggling around. It's my first day on the job. So here's something I'd ask you to consider with that question that I just asked you to consider. That one of the things that's changing is the inner child that lives inside of your guy has a really tough time seeing your motherly attention, your motherly instincts, your motherly love prioritize someone else other than him. And you say, well, my guy, he's not a 5-year-old little boy. I disagree with you. I think part of your guy is a 5-year-old little boy. I think you have a 5-year-old little girl inside of you too. I think most of us are little children dressed up in adult bodies. What I really mean by that is we all have an inner child, part of our psyche that still functions with the neediness and specific needs of a child. So, my experience is a part of every single relationship is a child-parent dynamic. Hopefully it's not the only dynamic, though some relationships, it is the only dynamic. Then we definitely get into trouble. But nonetheless, whatever degree of this dynamic you and your guy have, it's likely a very unconscious dynamic where his needy little boy inside looks to you to be his mother. Please meet my motherly needs, dear lovely lady, says his little boy. That can be attention. That can be, I want you to make me feel like I matter. I want you to be more interested in me than anybody else. I want you to really value me, says the little boy inside your guy. Hopefully if your guy also has some adult maturity developed in his psyche, there's a part of him that can give those things to himself too. Part of him that can make his inner child feel like he matters to a degree, feel valued to a degree, feel protected to a degree. So, if what I'm saying is halfway true, and it feels at least halfway true to my delusional self, but I'm biased because this is my video, so take that with a grain of salt. My delusional opinion would be, up until this point, you're pregnant. First time, second time, third time, doesn't matter. Up until this point, his inner child will have been projecting the mother onto you, while his adult self simultaneously sees you as his equal partner, hopefully. So, the inner child that's been projecting mom onto you, there's a phase of projection called disillusionment. There's another phase called withdrawal. The first phase of projection, just to be incredibly out of order, what the hell is wrong with me? I'm really jet lagged right now. I think that's my answer. And I think I'm talking to myself. I definitely am talking to myself. So the first phase of projection. So you guys started dating way back when. Maybe you got married. Doesn't matter. The first phase of projection that was active from your guy's inner child was the magical phase. This delusional mindset that says, she can be my mommy, says his inner child. Then the second phase of projection is disillusionment. And this probably starts when you're getting pregnant. Disillusionment is basically seeing more the reality rather than the delusional, unconscious fantasy that his inner child projects. So instead of seeing you as his mommy, the inner child starts to see, she's not my mommy. It's disillusionment. It's scary. It's like this orphaned instinct, this orphan fear starts to become active inside your guy's inner child. So a part of him. Again, don't be fooled. He looks big and mature on the outside. And hopefully he's got some maturity on the inside. But there's a part of him that functions like a child. Same with you. We all have it. It's part of the human condition. So this disillusionment phase, it's usually followed by what's called the reinforcement phase, where now he gets even needier for you for oftentimes a short period of time. And then when his inner child sees, okay, this lady, her motherly part, she's really devoted to this child inside of her, his heart breaks. It's necessary, it's healthy, but it's a broken heart for the inner child. And then withdrawal is the next phase of projection. This is probably what I'm actually getting to with the heart of this lovely question. Withdrawal. And the sexual energy is part of that. So oftentimes in the beginning, middle stages of a relationship, this strong inner child sense of, she's my mommy. I like that. That really activates the guy's libido. In other words, he's very sexually attracted, and his libido is driven in part by his inner child inside. Now usually into the middle stage, if not the end stage, or long-termness of a relationship, that mother-child dynamic is actually what shuts down the libido. But initially, and in the middle stages of a relationship, it drives the libido. But now we're taking that mother-child dynamic off the table a bit, because the child inside your guy starts to say, I'm an orphan. She's not my mommy. So this passion called his sexual energy that normally drives him to be attracted to you sexually, it's withdrawing. It recoils. And then there you are in your shoes, probably worst case scenario, taking it personally. And I get that. I've been in relationships where my lovely lady withdraws sexually from me. It is almost impossible to not take it personally. Once in a while she's not interested. I get that. But when it's more of a long-term phenomenon, it hurts inside. Do you know why it hurts inside? Because we have the same thing going in reverse. I'm identifying with women here, but I'll run with it. So the inner child inside of you, she gets validated. She feels protected, safe, wanted. She feels like she matters when she can attract sexual interest from your guy. So in other words, if you sit there saying, okay, my guy's withdrawn and I'm angry about it, or I feel just, unwanted, unvaluable, insignificant. That's usually how I feel when that happens to me. That's coming not from your adult psyche, in my opinion. It's coming from your inner child. So in other words, there's a pretty good chance that you and your guy are a really great match for each other. You've got perhaps the same issue going on. How you react to the issue, lovely birds, how you react to the issue might be different. He's withdrawn, and you're hurt, maybe angry, maybe feeling insignificant, but it's likely the very same issues inside of each of you that are driving these seemingly different outward reactions. Low sex drive, because his inner child says, oh, she can't be my mommy anymore, because look at her real mommy instincts start to be caring for this child inside of her. And then the inner child inside of you, your sexual energy may be going up because that's the attractive force trying to bring your surrogate father back to you, making humanity sound pretty screwed up. I think humanity is we're complex inside of ourselves, and I think that's part of the miracle of who we are. So, let's get to the punchline of this video, JP, says a part of me. There's a fifth phase of projection. So you project a father figure on, part of you projects a father figure onto your guy to a degree. Part of your guy projects a mother figure onto you to a degree. That's as much of effective relationships as I know how to comprehend. So the fifth phase of projection that follows all that you can potentially go to, honestly not many couples do. Yeah, here's the invitation. The fifth phase is consciousness. It's not compensating for, okay, we had this magical phase. She could be my everything. Oh, no, she can't, not anymore, because I see her mothering someone else, and that makes me feel orphaned. And, okay, now I withdraw. Instead of compensating for all that, shoving it under the rug, and resentment just builds, like it does in so many relationships, you can move into the fifth phase of consciousness, which is understanding what's going on inside of me, what's going on inside of him. So what that really means is communication needs to happen. Talking about feelings needs to happen. Looking at the elephant in the room and talking about the elephant. Not with blame, not you withdrew from me and I feel like crap about it. You need to stop doing that. That will make his inner child recoil even more. He'll just get defiant. And that kind of mentality of, you're withdrawing from me, that kind of blaming mentality probably comes not from your adult self, but your inner child. So in other words, we need to elevate communication past this unconscious dynamic of sexual withdrawal, maybe resentment, and get very conscious and start to have our psyche, our adult part of our psyche, communicate with his adult part. How do you do that? First, let me recommend a phenomenal book. I love it. I just can't endorse it enough. It's called The Shadow Side of Intimate Relationships by Douglas and Naomi Moseley. They talk a lot about the inner child to parent dynamic that happens inside relationships, while there's also the adult to adult dynamic. When it's an adult to adult dynamic, when his adult self is awake and can see you, the sexual energy, the attraction, the libido will be there. My experience is the vast majority of the time when the sexual energy is shut down, it's because the inner child, there's some kind of wound that's been triggered inside of him. In other words, she's not my mommy anymore. And he feels like crap about it. So his energy, sexual energy, shuts down. So, back to the punchline here, communication. Not with blame, but sharing your experience, your perceptions, and most importantly, your feelings. And inviting him to share his feelings. You look at the elephant in the room and say, I noticed we've had sex once in the past month. And I would like to talk about that. I'm guessing there's some things going on inside of each of us that I would enjoy talking about. It might not be comfortable, and I'd like to share my feelings about what's going on, and really, I want to understand how you're feeling inside of yourself. That's much different than kind of the blame dynamic. And I'll also, one last note I'll say before I close this video is telling your guy what's going on inside of him. Like, hey, you know what? I watched this video, the sexy redhead who's sexier than you. Tell that to your guy. But what you don't want to tell your guy is, oh, I watched this video, and what that tells me of what's definitely going on inside of you is your inner child is withdrawing because you see me start to have real mother energy, not this artificially flavored stuff that happens in relation, but real motherly energy for our coming child. That'll probably activate his defiant inner child, and when you point out exactly what's going on, even if you're right, he'll just rebel against it. So communication needs to happen. Feeling-oriented communication, vulnerable communication, sharing feelings. Not trying to fix the problem, but sharing feelings about the issue, the problem, if you will, is usually actually paradoxically the best way to fix the problem. Not trying to fix it, but sharing feelings. Feeling the feelings out loud. That's tough. And I absolutely don't want to do the magnitude of your relationship and this dynamic that's going on. I don't want to do it in injustice by giving just some trivial soundbite of here's 1 step, 2 steps, or 3 steps that you just do with your guy in the relationship and that'll fix all this. No. This dynamic, it's something that deserves much better than that. It deserves ongoing communication. My experience is it's not easy, but it's necessary, and it is what fertilizes the relationship that you're in. Because as I was mentioning at the beginning of the video, once you bring a child into the equation, even if he or she is still gestating inside of you, you have just closed a phase of your relationship with your guy. And now you're moving into the next phase. It's beautiful, it's growth, it's maturity, and it means change is happening. So if one or both partners are still pretty unresolved, unclosed about the previous phase of the relationship, it means the next phase of the relationship. And then the next phase of the relationship will be a struggle at best. So with that said, I realize at best, my thoughts here are food for thought. They're not clear-cut solutions. They're not sound bites. They're not trivializations of this important issue that you're dealing with. Because I think the issue of he's withdrawn from me sexually, it's much bigger than that. It deserves ongoing communication. So with that said, I hope you have a wonderful day, and I'll be talking to you soon.